Altruism is an ethical system which claims that man has no right to exist for his own sake, that the sole justification of his existence is the service he renders to others, and that self-sacrifice is his basic virtue, value, and duty. Altruism regards man, in effect, as a sacrificial animal. The word is coined by Auguste Comte in the 19th century to mean specifically the placing of the interests of others above your own.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today, and I want to do a reaction to or analysis of Ayn Rand. So a lot of you guys mentioned Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugs, and I ended up watching the movie like a couple of weeks, last weekend. And it was a pretty good movie. It really articulated her vision and her critique against altruism. And as you saw from the intro, altruism is the belief that one should set others' benefit over their own, right? And I like the breakdown that she put in this video is the fact that, is it possible for someone to have value if they do not first regard themselves as valuable? I think it's impossible to do that. Right. And this funny part is that the people who tend to be the most altruistic tend to be liberal. Right. They come out, the consent of the individual, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, if you happen to be a white person, you're supposed to do things in the benefit of black people. Right. But the ultras don't tell black people to do what's in the best interest of white people. Right. And this is the contradiction or the problem with altruism is that it has an unrealistic expectation that people should act for the best interest of each other. And that's a very collectivist idea. If you see a lot of socialists, they think along these lines. But what Ayn Rand is about to expose is the fact that these same people actually uses altruism as a means to get a self-benefit for themselves because they happen to be at the bottom of the hierarchy. And Vivek articulate this concept as the victim Olympics. Right? We articulate this as DEI. Oh, your DEI score is high because you're a woman and you're a person of color. Therefore, you're perceived more as the one who needs the most help. Right? And I don't think a system like that can ever stand. And I think it removes the virtue signaling that a lot of the people who follow these ideas do, because and in a sense, it's not you're doing this out of the kindness of your heart. It's you feel pressure to do this because you're at the top or you have a privileged situation, right? Altruism pretty much explains this concept from Shelby Steele, who says that white guilt is black power. The only reason black people have power is because white people feel guilty about their own interest, their own kind. And if they didn't feel this sense of guilt for being white, black people will have no power. Essentially, if you think about it, no, black people won't have any power. When black people call a white person a racist, they will be like, yo, you're just calling me that because I'm in a better situation than you. Let's call it what it really is. If I was a poor hillbilly living off a tractor, you wouldn't be saying I have white privilege. You wouldn't be complaining about my power, right? I'm just making, I hope I'm making sense here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's get into this next clip where she further breaks down the benevolence and is benevolence possible with altruism. Let's take a look.
I wonder if you would discuss why to be altruistic and to be benevolent is not the same.
This is a package deal spread and fostered by the altruist. It is to their own interest to suggest to men that altruism merely means kindness or benevolence or respect for the rights of others, which it does not. In fact, most people, I would venture to say an overwhelming majority, do believe that that is all that altruism means. So that in effect, if you give a dime to a beggar, you are an altruist. Nothing could be further from the truth, because altruism does not claim that you should help others when and if you can. It specifically claims that you should subordinate your own interests to the interests of others, and therefore others should take first place in your life as a moral duty. In that case, kindness is impossible. If it is your duty to give away your last penny to anyone who might need it, you are giving him his due. In fact, altruists would say it is his right to demand your penny. Therefore, it's not an action of kindness or generosity or charity on your part. It is a moral duty. Altruism, in fact, makes benevolence among men impossible. Because if you have to regard all other men as mortgage holders on your life, If their claims have to supersede any interest of your own, then you can feel nothing but fear and hatred toward other men, since they are a threat to your own existence. And if you do not satisfy their claims, you have to take moral blame for it. That makes any kind of authentic benevolence among men impossible. It entails other contradictions. There is no reason why you should consider the benefit of others as a value if you do not consider your own benefit a value. Altruism demands that you regard everybody as a value except yourself.
And this is why I like to tell a lot of white people this. I'm like, yo, stop catering so much to black people. You're only, like, in a way, infantilizing black people. Oh, black people get suspended more in school. It must be due to racism. No, it's not. It's due to their own behavior. They're the one disrupting the class. You have a standard that everyone must follow. Black kids happen to break it more, specifically black boys. It doesn't matter where you put the black boy in the system. You could put him in Baltimore, where that school system is ran primarily by black administrators, black school boards, black superintendents, and black boys still get suspended more than in that area more than other kids. It's not due to racism; it's due to their own individual behavior. But an altruist, or this idea of altruism, is that we're supposed to give, they're at the bottom. They're not performing as well, right? What Ayn Rand calls them, the zero holders. Oh, they're not producing anything in society. It's our job to help them be better in society. We have to lower the bar for them. And when I start when I start hearing her talk, I see examples of this idea, of this thinking that because you're in a well-off position that you don't deserve wealth. For instance, people who are a big component of, after a certain amount of income, we should tax 100% of your money because there's no necessary need for having more than a certain amount, whatever arbitrary number these people decide, these socialists decide. Oh, if you make more than $200K a year, everything past that is 100% tax because other people need it more than you do. This, I believe, a self-sacrifice. It's crazy, right? And then the funny part about these liberals too is that when you do the man on the street interviews and you ask them, do you support reparations? They're going to say, yes, they support reparations. Okay, here's my black friend right here. Give him all the money you have in your pocket right now. They don't even believe it. And this is why I'm saying that I think altruism is a means to an end to justify giving entitlement programs to other people, to feed into this victimhood narrative, which you guys know I'm a big opponent of that. I don't believe in victim mindset. I believe a lot of people volunteer for the situations in their lives and they just mad about the outcomes that they got. So instead of working hard to fix it, it's easier to blame someone else. And I think this is where all this altruism is stemming from, especially in a society with no morality, no religion, no principles that it follows. They always try to find a way to replace those things. And I think altruism has become that thing. But I digress. Let's continue. Ayn Rand's going to start cooking in this next part. Let's take a look.
And remember that this applies to every human being. Therefore, according to an altruist, no human being has any right to any value nor to any happiness of his own. He only has the right and duty to serve others. Therefore, altruism does regard men as sacrificial animals, as object of sacrifice for others. That is not a theory of benevolence for men. There can be no benevolence for men unless one recognizes man's basic moral and political right to exist for his own sake, neither sacrificing himself to others nor others to himself, which is precisely what altruism denies.
Ms. Rand, why would anyone accept altruism under your definition?
Most people do not have a consistent moral theory to guide them, a theory which they understand, accept, and fully practice. But the reasons why they accept altruism are many. Men realize, so long as they have to make choices, they need some kind of code of moral values to guide their choices and the sort of values and goals that they will pursue. Yet, they have not been offered any code of morality other than the altruistic one. Most people are afraid to be left on their own in moral issues. They are more afraid of it than in any other issue. Men are not afraid to be scientists and to stand alone in the face of nature, but they are terrified in issues of values, in having to stand alone and define what objectively is right or wrong for men.
I agree with that statement. It's funny. Like when as I hear it, I think of the transgender issue, for instance. Oh, you must call me this. Why? It's not in my interest to call you that. Why should I sacrifice what I believe for you? And essentially, that's altruism in a sense. That's me practically playing it out, right? Or when black people or black liberals, sorry, let me be very specific. When black liberals come out here and claim that white people need to step back, stand up and step back for me so I can have a chance. Why would he do that? In a meritocratic society, if we want the best for the job, why we should make the best people step aside for the least productive people? Shouldn't it be on the people themselves to fix their own situation? And this is where I believe in a reciprocal a situation. We get a benefit and you get a benefit out of it. And in the middle, we make society prosper. But when you start making demands of other people because they happen to have a certain pigment of skin, and it immediately causes division. This is why I believe in her what she says about altruism. Altruism doesn't mean kindness, doesn't mean generosity, doesn't mean to do good unto others or respect other people. It's to put yourself at the mercy of other people. If the other person say, hey, slit your throat, you'll have to do it because they're a black person, you're a white person, and there's too much of you out here in the world. And this is the funny part about all this stuff, is that altruist doesn't recognize the basic moral right of someone else to operate in their own best interest. For instance, I could take myself as an example. I'm a conservative, right? That means I only represent 10% of the black community, right? And if we lived in a group and we live under an altruistic system, they'll tell me, oh, I have to vote Democrat because because they're the best party for black people. But in my personal situation, I'm a high income earner, right? I have a family here. I have kids. A lot of what the Democrats are pushing are not what I believe in. But I'm supposed to sacrifice my family, what's good for my kids, for the benefit of the group. And that's essentially what altruism is doing. And that's unrealistic. I was like, why would I vote for a bunch of people that they happen to be born the same skin color as me? Like I said, race pride is superficial. To me, it's dumb. Like, why would I look at someone badly because of their skin color? And why would I trust someone more because of their skin color? It makes no sense to me. My pro-black friends always try to sell me that. Oh, white men ain't going to get you. And I'm like, well, black women put more black men in jail than white women ever have. Well, you shouldn't trust white women because they wouldn't be with you if you wasn't successful. But then I look and I said, well, why not? That can't be just a woman thing. Why you make it a race thing when any woman can do that? There's a gold digger applies to all. A gold digger is a stance that could apply to all women. Why are you making it specifically white women? Right? These people don't even see their own racism. But they expect white people to do what's in the best interest of them because, oh, you've been ahead of us, you got white privilege, when they can't name a privilege that is solely for white people. Saving money, that's not white people thing. Having a 2-parent household, that's not a white people thing. Being rich is not a white people thing. There's a bunch of rich black people here. But for some odd reason, because of your skin color, we're supposed to assume that you're poor, dumb, and unable to do anything for yourself. And that is due to this altruistic thinking that has spread in our society. And I blame a lot of this on liberals, progressives, because in a way, altruism is a mindset of socialist, communist in a way. Because we're supposed to all come together and do what's best for the common people. Socialists always target the people that's perceived at the bottom of the hierarchy because these are the people who are more likely to want a revolution. And that's what socialists want. Socialists and communists want alike. They want a revolution. So they go to the people who are at the bottom of the hierarchy because the people at the top, they say, hey, I'm doing good in this system. It's like asking a tall guy, hey, play a different sport because being tall is a big advantage in basketball. You just want them to change the game because it doesn't benefit you because you're a short player. I mean, I hope I'm making sense. Let's get into this next clip where Ayn Rand really, I said she really goes in, but she highlights the result of altruism. And let me know if you actually agree with her on this one. Let's take a look.
One common variant of altruism is the belief that you should give only to those who are less better off than yourself, those who are in need.
Your remark is correct. That is what altruism holds. And the result of it is that it makes need, pain, failure, disaster the leading purpose and value in life. In other words, it amounts to the following situation, which you can see politically coming through today. If a man fails for any reason, his own fault or through accidents, gives him a mortgage on the lives, the earnings, the property, the services of those who have not failed. And therefore the result is a hierarchy of values of which the zero is the dominant standard. To the extent to which you lack any value at all, personal, spiritual, or material, you have a claim on your betters. To the extent to which a man has achieved values, he is the sacrificial animal for any zero holder. A man who is a full altruist would have to find a cannibal village and offer himself as a meal, because that would be the only way in which he could make a total sacrifice for the sake of others, deriving nothing in return. A total altruist is in a contradiction every time he eats, because that morsel of food may be needed by someone else. Because the altruists get out of it by saying that you should reserve for yourself only the minimum necessary in order to go on serving others. But that in itself is a contradiction. What is that minimum necessary? And the main issue is, why should the needs of others have primacy over your own? This question has never been answered by any philosopher of ethics. The sole base of altruism has always been mystical. The issue of self-sacrifice to others has to be taken on faith, because no rational justification for it has ever been offered, nor can it ever be offered.
I agree. Altruism is a very utopian idea. Like, bad things should never happen, when that's the reality of life. You have your ups, your downs. Like the Stoics will say that what happens to you is not either right or wrong. It's what you perceive it to be, right? For instance, if I'm a Lakers fan and the Lakers win the NBA championship, I see that as a good thing. But if they lose, I'll see that as a bad thing. It's all about perspective. Let's say they played against the Atlanta Hawks and the Atlanta Hawks won the NBA Finals and beat the LA Lakers. If I'm a Lakers fan, I'm going to see that game as a bad thing. But if you're a Hawks fan, you'll see that game as a good thing, that event as a good thing. Only our judgments of it is right or wrong. But altruists think, they have a perceived perspective, and they believe that everyone who don't follow in that perspective is selfish, greedy. A lot of them, this is the idea, the mindset of a socialist. That's how they see a lot of capitalists. You're just operating, you're greedy. No man should be this rich. Well, I'm producing this amount of money because people find my services valuable enough to pay me this salary. And don't be mad that you're not getting this amount and then try to justify your envy by claiming that I'm greedy, when really I'm just producing. And if you produce more, you can make more. If you learn a skill that people are willing to pay more money for, you should do that. But instead of looking at yourself, you rather look outward and blame other people. And this is why I agree with her synopsis. There's a race at the bottom. This is why libertarians say taxation is death, because essentially what you're doing is you're penalizing the productive people in society, especially with the progressive taxes that we have. When conservatives be pushing for a flat tax, these socialists, these liberals, these Democrats don't want it. Why? Because they want the productive people to pay for the people that's at the bottom, because there's this expectation that no one should suffer in life, when suffering is something that we all go through. It's a human condition. Without suffering, life will have no meaning. And that's a philosophical point that I make to you. But hey, enough about me. I get some short clips. If you guys want to watch the full thing, as always, the link is in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.